Hey there, and welcome to the Transparently Jordan podcast, where I'll be talking with a new guest each week, and we'll be covering topics in health, fitness, lifestyle, and so much more. So stick around and let's get into today's episode.
And I'm pretty holistic, and so I just didn't want to go on that. And he didn't say anything about diet, so that just also kind of worried me, like there has to be like other options out there.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode. Now, I apologize for the background noise. It is currently raining super hard here, and I have like a tin roof, so you can hear absolutely every drop that falls. But let's get right into this week's episode. Now, this week I am talking with Katarina. Katarina is a nutritionist, she is a herbalist, and she is the host of the Live Nourished podcast. Now, this week we talk all things nutrition, herbs, as well as talking about Katarina's story. So listen up and let's get into today's episode. All right. Hello, everyone. Now I am sitting down with Katarina. How are you, Katarina?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Now, Katarina, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Katarina Greer. I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, also a community herbalist, and I am living on the West Coast in Canada on Vancouver Island. And I work with clients one-on-one, and I also have my own podcast called the Live Nourished podcast. And yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Now, do you mind maybe getting into what I guess your work is as a functional nutritional therapist?
Yeah, so I see clients one-on-one, mainly just women, and just help to support them nutritionally from that, just like foundationally, starting with digestion, working with hormones, immune, cardiovascular, blood sugar regulation, water. There's a lot, seems like a lot, but that's just how we start off. Because then starting with just the foundations like digestion, people feel a lot better just working on their gut with gut healing. And so, yeah,
Awesome. Now,
yeah.
what I'm interested in, because I mean, I know anybody who goes into a profession in health and wellness, me being I'm in my master's of physiotherapy, you in nutrition. I know we all kind of have this motivation that drives us, and that wants us to kind of, or that I guess causes us to want to help people. So, what is, I guess, do you mind maybe getting a little bit more personal and
Mhm.
speaking about what led you to this journey with nutrition and why you're kind of taking this career path.
Yeah, for sure. So, growing up, um, my family's pretty health conscious, and so we would eat a lot of organic whole foods, go to the farmers markets, just shopping at like our local health food store. But so I ate like well at home, but then like going out with like friends and stuff, I would just eat just regular processed food. But had like a good like childhood, like growing up, like no health issues, no allergies or anything. But then it wasn't until like grade 12 when my period just stopped being regular. Then my hair started to thin, and I just started to become worried that something was wrong. So went to the doctor and got blood work done. He said everything was just normal, and so I honestly just believed him. And I was like I don't know, like I was like 18 at the time, so I was just like, oh, okay, no big deal. But then I went away for college, came back, and um, my period still hadn't returned. It had been over a year, and so went and saw the doctor again, and then got some blood work done, and then got an ultrasound, and so I got diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. For those that don't know, it's a hormone and metabolic disorder, and it affects 1 in 10 women. And it is also the main cause for infertility. And at the time, this was 3.5 years ago, I got diagnosed in 2018. He just said my only option was birth control. And I'm pretty holistic. And so I just didn't want to go on that. And he didn't say anything about diet. So that just also kind of worried me, like, there has to be like other options out there. So then I saw a functional nutritional therapy practitioner, and she helped me a lot, starting with digestion, because my digestion at the time was not great. It was sluggish. And so just removing some foods like dairy, just refined sugar, gluten, and grains. It was pretty shocking to me at the time because I had always just eaten anything and everything that I wanted. Um, but then just removing those foods at first was pretty difficult because I wasn't able to like go out with friends, and so the social aspect was pretty hard. But after just like removing those for like a week, I felt like just so amazing and just so much better. So that's just really what interested me in going to study nutrition, because of just like my own personal health issues. And that is honestly how it is for most like women and men that go into the health space. It's like from their own personal or the family's experiences.
Right. Awesome. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually, you brought up a few interesting points there. One of them being, I guess maybe, do you mind elaborating a little bit more on what you did when you first, I guess, got that diagnosis and where you went to start getting information? Because I think there's a lot of people out there that might get, I know me, when I was younger, went to my family doctor with a lot of stomach issues, and she just told me, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably just IBS. And I was like, okay, well, first of all, what is IBS? And you kind of, you go through a whole rabbit hole there. So, what kind of resources did you first refer to, and what kind of helped you in the beginning stages for maybe other people out there that are experiencing the same thing that you did back then?
Yeah, so at the time when I got the diagnosis, I was like, what's that? Like I hadn't ever heard of it. So I just like kind of Googled it online, just looked up like what it was, found out what it was, obviously. Just I saw a lot of just women saying like remove gluten and dairy and refined sugar, like that like helps the most, just because those can be super inflammatory to your body, not for everyone, but a lot of people. So I did that, but then I was like, I need more help. Like I just can't I guess go to like Dr. Google, as they say, and
Yeah.
just, trust Google on this one. So then I saw a nutritionist, and she actually has PCOS too. And so that was super helpful for me. And yeah.
Awesome. Now, what kind of things, I guess, or what kind of options did you find? So you mentioned before
Mm-hmm.
that you were looking for other options. I mean, I think your doctor told you one thing that you needed to take birth control, but you were like,
Yeah.
well, there's other options out there. What kind of
Mm-hmm.
options did you find? I know you mentioned nutrition and a few things there, but was there anything else super, I guess, out there that you didn't really realize played an important role that does now?
Definitely stress.
Uh-huh.
Stress is a huge one. I think people just overlook it. They just want to focus on their diet and like what they eat. But like if you're stressed out all the time and you're eating the best foods, your body's not going to heal. Like that's just plain and simple. um, so yeah, definitely stress, just moving your body too, doing strength training in particularly for women that have PCOS, just because most women will get resistant, get insulin resistance. And
Mhm.
so with strength training, just like 2 to 3 times a week. Not saying that you need to bulk up, but just do some weightlifting will help with the insulin resistance. And then just doing stuff that you really enjoy. Like I like to dance, going for walks, just finding activity that you enjoy and not forcing yourself to do it. Because if you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't like, then it's just adding more stress to the body. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's a super important point. I think a lot of people forget about physical exercise, and me being a physio, that's my niche there. So it has its important role there. Now, do
Mm-hmm.
you mind maybe talking about, because I know on your Instagram and on your blog you talk about herbs a lot. So what
Yeah.
are, I guess, herbs? I think we all think of herbs as just the basil and the, those kind of
Right.
things, but what are herbs, and do you mind maybe breaking down their role and kind of how you play with herbs?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually did a herbalism program just this past winter from January to April, which was just super in depth. And I honestly just, yeah, I really loved it. And so basically herbs are just plant seeds, either leaves, roots, barks, or flowers that are used for medicinal purposes. And so the process of using medicinal herbs is known as herbalism or botanical medicine. And herbs date way back to before like we as humans started recording anything. So they've been here a long time and they're just amazing. And they are the original medicine used before pharmaceuticals came in. And yeah, they really do a lot. They can help you with digestive issues such as bloating, constipation, diarrhea, gas, acid reflux, the list goes on. And
Hmm.
also with reproductive system with balancing hormones, supporting the immune system, cardiovascular, detoxification. So yeah, they can really do a lot.
Perfect. Yeah, because I think, me thinking of herbs, I again think of those cooking ones. And I did know,
Yeah,
I mean, they do go back a long time. And, medicinal herbs being something that is quite ancient, is just quite
right.
interesting to me how we've kind of migrated away from that. But, everything kind of comes full circle. And I think herbs are kind of becoming more and more popular. I know here in
Yeah.
Australia, they're everywhere. So, yeah, I just found that super interesting. I'm maybe interested in
Mm-hmm.
what you personally use in your daily life. I know they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
completely different for everybody, and everybody's going to
Yeah.
need different ones, but maybe just so people get an idea
Mm-hmm.
of what they can do and how people can use them.
Yeah, so I personally use them for digestion, balancing hormones, immune system. So I'll just list off around like
Yeah.
seven-ish.
Yeah.
But first, calendula, which is really great for digestive inflammation, and it's also great for using on wounds externally.
Mm.
Then dandelion, which is just great for supporting the liver because the liver needs a lot of help because it does so many different things in our body. So
Yeah.
dandelion, and people just always think it's like a wee, like, oh, get rid of it, but it's just so healing and just,
Hmm.
yeah, super great. Then cramp bark for just women that have painful periods and just severe cramping, kind of like goes with the name cramping cramp bark. So that's an
Yeah.
easy one to remember. Stinging nettle, just for nourishing the skin, both using internally and externally,
Huh, okay.
as well as the hair too. It's really great. And then chaste tree berry just for regulating women's menstruation. Fennel for gas and bloating. You can also cook with fennel too, because like the fennel bulb, but then you can also use like the hair of it and just like chew on
Hmm.
it like 20 minutes or so before like meals. It just really great for like soothing your digestion.
Hmm.
And then holy basil for stress. And it's an adaptogen, and that just basically means that it helps the body adapt to stress. And then lastly, reishi, and this one is honestly my favorite. So it's technically a medicinal mushroom, but it helps the liver, it reduces stress, lowers blood sugar, supports the immune system. It's antibacterial, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory. And honestly, just does so many great things. It's honestly just like a magical, like little mushroom. So
Oh,
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I had, I think, reishi mushroom like hot chocolate back in
Yeah.
Vancouver from a brand. I don't even remember the brand, but I just liked it because it was the hot chocolate. And I had no
Yeah.
idea what reishi was. I just saw hot chocolate and I bought it. So I mean, good to know that it did something.
Yeah.
But that actually brings me to my next point. And you listing off these six or seven herbs, just to me in the back of
Mhm.
my mind, it's like, okay, how do people like get around the cost of all of these things? You know what I mean? Like supplements are not cheap. So, are these all like separate pills or separate supplements that you are buying, or is there a way that people can maybe better easily access it? Because I know, like me, for example, just mentioning that reishi hot chocolate, I think it had a few other things in it. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone or hitting two birds with one stone there. So,
Mhm.
what do you do to kind of, I guess, decrease the costs of all of this?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm lucky here in on Vancouver Island. There's lots of herb shops that are close to me, around
Mm,
like five or so. It's amazing, and so I just buy in bulk from them. So like the
okay.
calendula, dandelion, cramp bark, stinging nettle, fennel, holy basil. I don't think you can get reishi in bulk or the chaste tree. The chaste tree you do get it in supplement form. You can also get reishi in bulk, or you just buy it in like a powder. package. But most of them, like herbs, you can get in bulk and they're pretty affordable. And when you buy them in bulk, it's usually fresher because it comes just like fresh off the shelf. So yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, I want to know, this is kind of a question that I ask a lot of nutritionists that come on the podcast,
Mhm.
but what are your grocery necessities? I'm always interested. I love going to the grocery store and just going up and down the aisle. So, what are the things that you, I guess, weekly, whenever you go to the grocery store, you know where it is in the aisle and you know that you're gonna get it?
Yeah, for sure. I'll start with veggies, because
Okay.
produce, love
Mm-hmm.
produce. Cucumber, personally, I love cucumber. Just like super hydrating and just, yeah, love it
Yeah.
overall. Carrots, lettuce, zucchini, potatoes, sweet potatoes, just like any type of squash.
Mm.
Yeah, onions, garlic. Garlic is actually technically a herb. I learned that in my
Oh,
program, but
okay.
yeah. And then oranges, apples, blueberries, just like any type of berry, honestly. Peaches, grapes, and then just like grass-fed meats like beef, chicken, lamb, wild seafood. I'm fortunate to just like live on the West Coast here. We get like fresh seafood all the time.
Okay.
So I love salmon. And then I love sunflower seed butter. I have that like every day.
Uh,
It's like my favorite like seed butter. I used to love almond butter, but I think I got tired of it. So now I'm like
yeah.
with the sunflower seed butter.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Is there anything that you go into the store that you maybe get, let's say, as a treat or as like
Um,
a one-off type of thing?
okay. Hmm. There's like these chocolate macaroons. They're actually a company from Vancouver. It's called Zimt
Okay.
chocolate. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you've heard of it. But
No.
they're really good. Just like they're like a chocolate like macaroon cookie, like dipped in
Oh,
like chocolate, and they're like vegan, like paleo, gluten free.
yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Okay. I'll have to get my parents
Yeah.
to ship me that and see what that
Yeah.
is. Now, finally, what are your go-to resources now? So if you're stuck on anything, do you have any, let's say, Instagram accounts or blogs or anything that you like to refer to for inspiration, for recipes, for information? Yeah, what are some things that you like to refer to?
Yeah, so I'll start with cookbooks.
Okay.
I love the Define dish. I don't know if you know, I'm assuming that you know like Whole
Yeah.
30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like it's Whole 30 inspired. It's not all completely Whole 30. There's still like some grains and a bit of
Right.
dairy in there too, but it's by Alex Snodgrass and I really like it just like whole food,
Okay.
recipes.
Yeah.
And then the Nutrient Dense Kitchen by Mickey Trescott. It's more so like paleo, like AIP, but just like super nourishing recipes. And
Right.
then Sweet Laurel, she has a bakery in California, and it's like grain, dairy, refined, sugar-free treats,
Oh,
and it's just that like that's my favorite. So
wow.
yeah, those are
Okay.
my favorite cookbooks.
Yeah.
But for like blogs and whatnot, my nutritionist that I first saw, her name's Ellie Short. Her website is wholehappy.com and
Hmm.
she posts really amazing recipes. Um, I don't know if I can think of anyone else on the top of my head, but I think
Oh,
those would
that's all
be like
right.
the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Now, where can people find you? Do you have a blog, Instagram? Bl
Mm.
Put in your podcast, and we'll talk about your podcast too before we end as well. But yeah, do you want to plug anything in here?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Live Nourished, and then my blog and website is livenourished.co. And yes, my podcast is called Live Nourished Podcast, and that's where I just talk about like health, wellness, nutrition. But yeah, everything's just basically Live Nourished.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, what again, you talk about nutrition on your podcast. Do you have guests or what kind of goes on your podcast?
Yeah, so I interview quite a few different people. I focus, yeah, basically on nutrition. I like share my personal health story on it. Interview different women that are like also nutritionists about like their business, how they got started. Um, Actually, like 2 days ago, I posted one with my friend. She started a non-toxic candle company.
Oh,
They use
wow.
like soy wax and essential oils, and she's in
Hmm.
Vancouver, which is very cool. And yeah, just focusing on like non-toxic living, slow living. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, that'll all be in the show notes below, everyone. So definitely check that out. Thank you so much, Katarina, for being on the podcast. This was very awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's episode. Now, before you go, please be sure to go on Apple Podcasts and like and subscribe to this podcast. I guess not like, that's a YouTube thing. Subscribe to this podcast as well as give your 5-star review. It really helps the podcast. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time.